to another episode of Ascend the Mountain. I am Aaron.
And I'm Steve, and we are two normal dudes having an authentic but lighthearted conversation about God and life.
Life. Liberty. Pursuit of happiness.
You
Am I happy
always-
right now?
You always do that. Every time I say life,
I just think
you
about
go,
it. I just think about it. Life.
"Ugh,
It's very deep and moving.
life.
I'm assuming you guys
What
do
should
that
I
on the
do with my
podcast.
life?"
Right. That's literally what I think of every time you say that.
And that's why we're here.
Bingo. So today we're going to talk about what if you fail? Like this. What if this fails? If none of you guys are listening and we're just talking to the ether of the internet.
We will lie to our wives.
Right. They gave us an ultimatum. We have to have at least 100 subscribers by the end of the month or we're
So
screwed.
tell your friends. Or I need to start working on my Tinder profile.
There you go. Oh my god. I heard Bumble's like the place to be. Anyway, who knows?
Haven't been in the game in a
Right,
while.
a long time. So anyway, guys, that is what we're going to be talking
This
about
has failed
today.
already.
Yeah, this has failed. Hopefully you guys enjoy this as much as we do. Hey, we have fun. We
Yeah.
entertain ourselves. But yeah,
All
we're
five
going
people
to be
that
talking
listen to
about what if you fail. And this concept, and we actually kind of touched on it in the last video about like movies and stuff. What I've noticed just having a lot of conversations recently with people, and I believe it is part of just the human condition. It's very easy for any one of us to make decisions based off of risk aversion. I'm trying to avert risk in my life because if something doesn't go right, now I'm in trouble. And so I want to play it safe. I don't want to rock the boat. I'm going to wait until everything is perfect and I have 5 safety nets all set up that if I fail, then I'll have like 5 things to catch me. So it's not a big deal. So it's really not risk anymore at that point. And so we just want to kind of talk through that a little bit and what
Is it really a risk if there's a safety net?
exactly, then there is no risk. And how many people, and I just think about how many people, because of fear of risk and what may or may not happen, have lived either mundane lives, never taken a chance and created maybe there's like so much cool technology that was never invented or never followed through with or whatever because people were afraid of risk.
Or you're daydreaming in your head a lot of what could have been, what
Yeah.
should have been. You live in the woulda, coulda, shoulda world,
Right.
and you daydreamed of you winning the Super Bowl, yet you never even tried.
Right, you never
to
you
be
never
going
went
to
out.
pros because you're
Yeah.
just like, I'm not good enough. Yeah, risk. So I got a story.
Do it.
I took a risk once, never do it again. Just kidding. I took over a church plant at the ripe age of 29. That was stupid. But I felt like it was God telling me, and I took it over, and it did very well for a while, and completely a train wreck about 5 years in, and I went through this mental chaos in my head. Like when I had to shut it down, it just kind of just started falling apart. It's a hard place to go because I don't know if you've ever been there. Like you feel like God's telling you to do something,
Yeah.
and you do it, and you're like, this is of God, and it starts going really well, and then when the wheels start coming off the car, you're like, what the beep just
Right,
happened? And
right.
you're like, did I hear you right? Did I do this right? I took a risk. And you got people that won't take a risk.
Right.
Then you got people that have taken a risk and and it falls apart. I'm sure there's people out here that are listening to us going, yeah, I tried it. I
Right.
tried this, and I tried to do this stuff. And what if you fail? What if you fall on your face? And what advice would you give to someone that has taken a risk and has failed?
Well, and I feel like the first thing is that there is a group of people that are so afraid of risk that they never take it.
Yeah.
That they never have the guts. I don't know what else to say, and I know that might sound like a little harsh, but the place where I'm at in my life is I don't want to turn around and look back at my life and say, well, if only I had done that, maybe I would be doing this, or the what ifs. I don't want to live my life in the what if. I want to, even if it doesn't work out, even if it fails, even if it is a struggle for 2 years to quote unquote like get back out of the hole that I dug myself into, or whatever. I mean, I don't know where you're at with your church plant that you took over, but is there a part of you that you're like, I know that I tried, and I know I'm not ever supposed to do that again, versus never turning around.
Well, that's what I take refuge in. That's one thing I know when I stand before God, I tried.
Right.
I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to it. It's not like I didn't. I'm one person that I'm willing to try. Whatever, let's go for it. I don't like to live with a lot of regret. Sometimes I shouldn't try, but I do. I'm not afraid to take risks. I don't like failing or falling or whatever, or running into a wall. It's miserable. It can lead to depression and antidepressants and alcohol consumption. It can lead to a lot of things,
Bad stuff, yeah.
but I just sit there going, I've always told myself, hey, at the end of it all, I tried. It's not like I can't go to God going, well, at least I didn't say, well, what the heck were you doing?
Right. And even if you missed it, it's like, okay, then I missed it. And I learned from that.
And who knows if I missed it, because this is an interesting thing about a father, because he is a father to us. Like, when I let my kids try something and take a risk, and they fail or fall or whatever word you want to use, even though they may tell me I'm going to do this, and I in my head going, this isn't going to be good.
Right.
Sometimes I'll go, okay.
Go ahead.
Lessons.
Right.
And we always think like hearing from God or taking risk or trying to take a chance or something, and it doesn't work out, like we missed hearing from God. Doesn't necessarily mean you're not reading the Bible correctly.
Right.
Because there's a lot of times they tried stuff and they completely, I can't think of anything else. I could be really away off context right now in my head. Someone had to fail in the Bible. I know it. But I just sit there going, risk taking is part of being a disciple and being a Christian and just being a human being.
Right.
You just never, you're taking a risk every time.
There are outside influences. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of Joshua and the children of Israel. They take out Jericho. The next town they go to is Ai.
Thank you for the Bible smart guy.
Some people pronounce it differently. I always pronounce it AI. Like artificial intelligence. No, I'm just kidding. But they go to AI. Right. And AI is this little town. They've just taken out Jericho. It's like the most walled city, big, powerful. Now there's like basically like a village. So they're like, we got this. So they know that they're supposed to go take the promised land. They know that they're supposed to go take out this city and take it for themselves. And so they send out a small contingent and they get their butts handed to them. And so they go back to God like, God, what in the world is going on? We just failed. We took a risk, if you will. Guys died. People actually lost their lives. Like, families now don't have dads anymore.
Is that when God told them not to go?
No, they went and it was fine. They did the deal was that there was a guy in the camp that had stolen from Jericho when God said don't take anything from Jericho. So it was some random dude who affected the entire camp. It had nothing to do with Joshua. It had nothing to do with the rest of the people. One person made a bad choice, and it changed the whole course of the entire community.
When they said they won't take the promised land, and
then
they
go 40 years earlier. Yeah.
This is why my church didn't do well.
You should have hired me, and I would have been the Bible scholar who would have led.
Lessons learned.
Right, but that sometimes it doesn't have to do with you. It could be outside circumstances. And like what you were saying, sometimes it's not that you missed it. Like I think of my son, right now he's 3.5, he's starting to get into puzzles. And there are times where he's trying to put pieces together. And I'm like, duh, it's son. I mean, that's like a yellow piece and you're trying to slam it into the green and you're like pounding on it, trying to make it work. And it's not going to work. But I let him try to figure it out. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes he gets frustrated and breaks it. Like, whatever, I'm done. And I'm like, no, come on, we can do this. And there are times where it just isn't going to work out the way you thought it would. My son totally thought that those two pieces would fit together. They don't.
Duh, red and green.
But I see that as the adult, God being the adult, if you will, in the situation.
He usually is.
Right. And he sees the whole picture. And so sometimes, even though we think it's right and it's perfect or whatever, and there are times where he's like, do I put that there? I'm like, I don't know. You tell me. You go. Give it a shot, buddy.
And that's interesting with God. So even taking a risk. So your son, even in his 3-year-old mind, is taking a risk. When you're telling him that, like, hey, he could literally just go, I'm going to go play with my trucks.
Right.
I know this.
Right.
I know what trucks do. I don't quite know if this yellow and green are going to quite fit.
Right.
I doubt he's thinking like that, but I would. But you sit there going, like, but when you look at the whole situation, God, he doesn't sit there and go, oh, you better do this, this, and this. We always think, we have a weird, and maybe we can talk about this some other time, a weird definition of even success.
Yeah. What is
Because
success?
I don't think God is sitting there going, man, this is going to work out perfectly because you heard from me. Like, have you read anywhere in Scripture, like, even when the disciples became disciples and Jesus left, it wasn't easy.
Right.
We have those stories where 3,000 came in one day,
Right.
but that wasn't always the story.
Right, and some people left. And I'm thinking, and this goes back to, if you aren't watching all of our videos and listening on podcasts, you should, to our last video that we're talking about Rocky and stuff.
Yes.
That definition of success, I would say that was a total success for him, even though he lost the fight.
Yeah. Complete, 100% success. That's why I like it.
Right.
He didn't get pummeled.
Right. So you can watch that video so you can hear more in depth about that. That's last week's video.
That's a plug.
There you go. So I guess, I mean, what do we tell people?
When people come to me about risk,
Go for it.
I always say, unless it's like, we're not talking about cliff jumping and
But
being
no,
stupid.
being stupid.
We're
no.
talking about life choices. First of all, if you're married, talk to your spouse.
Bingo. Good choice.
Pray together. That is, do not make a decision without your spouse.
Yeah.
If you're not married, you're not tied down, and you can make your own decisions, find counsel.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. This is what I've learned in all of it. This is a great, and I don't know if I shared this before, but I had a pastor tell me when I was a young man one time, he goes, God has given you a brain.
Mm-hmm.
Just use it. But don't always expect the outcome to be how you think it is. Like, let's say you want to start a business. I have this great idea. I got a business. I feel God's telling me, and I want to be a billionaire. Like, you're going to be the next Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily. Maybe it's just a small town pizza shop,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
We always think of success and having this. If God's a part of it, these great things are going to happen.
It has to be big. It has to be
You
massive.
know how many times Paul ended up in prison?
A lot.
So when you think about, I always tell people, seek counsel, pray, but those are really things, but you got to make the choice.
Right.
Because here's what I always tell people, you're the one that has to wake up in your bed, you're the one that has to be in your own head, and I always say, you got to, but I like what you said earlier, is could you do it? Like, at the end, are you going to kick yourself? Let me say again, are you going to kick yourself if you don't try it?
Right. Right.
And that's my ultimate thing I tell people. You don't want to sit at 40 or 50 going, and you're 20 years old going, I wish I would have done that.
Right.
Or at least tried.
Right.
I mean, who cares? It could be even a simple thing of asking a girl or a guy out. It could be buying a house.
Right.
Like, going, man, or taking that job.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Moving
you're
away from your
afraid.
family, like whatever
You
it is.
never know. But I've learned one thing about God. I think He honors risk.
I totally agree. And there's this great line. I think Stephen Furtick said it. It just like blew me away. That what we have in mind may not always be what God has in store. And so what you think may be the outcome of risk may not be what God has in store. Think of Joseph. Did Joseph, when he had those cool visions and dreams about like his brothers bowing down to him and all that stuff, did he have in mind, I'm going to get wrongfully accused of sexual misconduct with my boss's wife. I'm going to get thrown in prison for 7 years. Guys are going to forget about me. And all of a sudden, I'm going to be second in command of Pharaoh. No, I guarantee you that was not even in the wildest dreams of his mind. But that is what God had in store for his life. And it totally changed people's lives.
And this is what I get frustrated in. I wish God would just, I almost said fax me, but... Snapchat me.
Oh my God. Wow, fax me? Do we have a fax machine anywhere?
Screensaver?
Oh my.
He's like, I did fax you back in 1990.
Dude, that is so good. Oh my gosh. For any of you who don't know what a fax is, you have to have like a phone attached to like a printer and dial in, and then like it prints off someone else's print from somewhere. It's so weird. Faxing is so weird. Anyway.
That's how I do ministry.
There you go. You fax everyone.
Fax
and you
people.
wonder why
We
you're
have a
having problems.
We have a meeting at 9.
Wow.
No one showed up.
Dude, that's so good. Okay, anyway, God faxed you. Keep talking.
It's easier if God just told us what would be the outcome. And I wish He would sometimes.
Right.
But I don't think we would like the outcome
Right.
in our own mind. Because God isn't so much, even being a father, my goal is not to make my kids happy.
Right. To make them successful.
Yeah. And success, there is going to be, you're going to get burned, you're going to fall down, you're going to hit your head. But most successful people I've met that I consider successful are people who have taken risks,
Yeah.
but also have failed.
Right.
That's things.
Totally.
But you learn from them.
Yep.
And I think that is so key, is learning from these mistakes. But I would always get back on that, take another chance. Like, for instance, I have written a book. One has done pretty well. One has done, I don't think people know it exists.
There you go.
And I think it's my better written book.
There you go.
And I wanted to stop writing. But what I've done, writing a new book.
Right.
And it's just like, who cares? Like, I don't want to sit, and we're going to hit this in the head again. Like, I don't want to sit there going, what if with my life? And if you fail, good. At least you tried.
Right.
Some people, as you said, and you started out the podcast with this, is some people don't even try.
Right. Let's give it a
How
shot.
can you live with yourself? Like, it takes work in anything you do.
Right.
And risk is always part of it.
Right.
If I never went up to my future wife in a church one day, that's risk.
Right.
Us being a friend, how we first met. If you didn't
Yeah.
listen to that podcast,
Yeah.
how we first met, it took a risk by me and going, hey, let's go on a hike.
Right.
May murder you.
Right.
But let's go
And
on
a risk for me saying yes.
He took a big risk. But he looked at my size and he goes, I got him.
Right. And I just thought of this while you were talking, to kind of bring this to a conclusion, particularly for those of you who have yet to take risk, you have taken a risk and it just hasn't turned out right, to learn from them. And so this is an example. Like, growing up, I played sports a lot. I played baseball every single year. I did competitive. I did all kinds of stuff, baseball from like 6 years old all the way through like my freshman year of high school. But my freshman year of high school and my last year of junior high, I started to play football because I'd never played football. I heard people talk about football all the time. I'd thrown the ball around like in the street with my friends, but never been on a team, never done any of that stuff. I was a baseball kid, but I was like, you know what? I want to give football a shot. I'm kind of a big guy. Maybe you'll be good at one of the positions, and who knows? Maybe I'm a better football player than I'm a baseball player. Let's find out. And so I did 2 years of football, and I sucked at it. I was not good at it. I didn't always start, and I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I didn't like going to weights during the summer to work out for football and stuff. I'm like, I don't have to work out for baseball. I just like do some running.
I don't know any football players that like that.
Right.
That's miserable.
Right. And so I didn't like any of that. And then I tried to go, and this is the worst part. So two things came from this. I took a risk to try a different sport. I failed. I didn't like it. It wasn't good. So I quit that. So now I know that I'm not good at football. I know I'm not good at that.
My son, great soccer player.
There you go.
And my wife made him try basketball. Now he's made second level team, first year, and is now, which is so great, and this would be a great podcast, 'cause I'm so proud of my son. He was just playing like 3 to 5 minutes a game. Now he's a starter.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And he took a risk, and my wife always goes to him, what do you say to me? Oh, thank you.
There you go.
But sometimes you got to get pushed.
Right, you got to get pushed. And to wrap up that thought, I went back to baseball my sophomore year of high school, and in that year that I had played football, because I didn't do both, I didn't have the ability to do both football and baseball. I had to pick, so I picked football my freshman year. All the guys in baseball, their pitches were like 20 miles an hour faster. They just got a lot better over that year, and I didn't because I didn't play that year, and I sucked at baseball my sophomore year of baseball. I struck out every game. I couldn't get on base. And so they started not starting me all the time and stuff, and it ended up being it was a very frustrating year, my sophomore year, for like sports stuff, and I ended up giving up baseball because of that. And so because I took a risk, I failed at football, but I also got behind so far in baseball that I could never do it again competitively. I played some softball and things like that, but I had to come to a place of, one, who knows? I could have gotten like a baseball scholarship if I had just done baseball and gone to college for baseball. I mean, who knows?
And we wouldn't be friends.
Right. But my life is different, and in a good way, because I didn't go through with it. I took risk. I did stuff. It maybe didn't go the way I wanted it to or thought it could easily have gone, but I had to come to grips with, this is the decisions I've made. I took chances. They didn't pan out the way I thought, but my life will still be okay. I will still have meaning and purpose, enjoy my life through the rest of my high school years. I found purpose in running small groups and doing stuff for my church.
Well, if you would have made it in Major League Baseball, your bank account's probably pretty mad at you.
Yeah, my bank account would be mad at me, but it doesn't matter. The point of that conversation and that example is that just because it doesn't go the way that you thought, that may not be what God had in store.
And doesn't mean don't take a risk.
Right.
Don't try. And there's sometimes you listen to wisdom. Find good people that will push you, not allow you to stay complacent, but also don't be afraid to take a risk and take a chance. Dude, it doesn't matter what age you are.
Yep.
I'm 43 now, and I'm still taking risks because at the end I'm just sitting there going,
Yep.
who cares? And what if you fail? What if?
Yep.
Who cares?
Right.
Then you just
You learn.
go, you learn. That's good. So that was good, man.
Okay, cool guys. That's it. Subscribe.
And all that fun stuff. Tell your friends. You can even share it if you find this stuff meaningful to you. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, there you go. So
That's our sales pitch.
that's it. We're
right.
really good sales guys, as you can tell. We should have gotten into that.
Please, we'll send you money.
So love you guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right, peace out.